All right, Paul Finebaum trying to, or not trying to, Paul Finebaum is discussing why he thinks that Alabama, excuse me, why, well, I'm really messing this up, but I have hit all the key terms. Talking about why he's got Ohio State higher than Georgia, at least for the time being. And this is what he had to say. He said, and this was after Georgia's off week, and Ohio State had scored a pile of points again, this time against Iowa. And he says it starts with the quarterback, C.J. Stroud. Ohio State seems to be more complete across the board. They have so many weapons offensively, and I think that has really helped them dominate every team on the schedule except Notre Dame early, where they struggled in the first half. He goes on to say, Ohio State has the back end of the schedule waiting for them, and that's Michigan. He's right about this. By the way, I mean, it's my view that Paul is exactly right that this is Georgia and Ohio State are the best two teams in the country right now. I also, after watching Alabama this past week, they are way too helter skelter for me, but they definitely can beat. They definitely can win the national championship. I think the problem for them is the consistency from here on out. They're not super consistent, okay? And it's possible that Mississippi State is not unbelievable. That's totally true too. But, you know, right now we're still trying to figure a few things out. Hey, real quick, for dinner tonight, you try DoorDash. Limited time, listeners get 50% off of a $20 value, $0 in delivery fees when you download the DoorDash app. Make sure, look, it's right down below. Enter the code DAWG, DAWG. That's DAWG, 50% off, $20 value, $0 in delivery fees with the DoorDash app. Enter the code DAWG, DAWG, just like dog post. And you can take advantage of that today. Again, it's DAWG, DAWG for 50% off, $20 value, $0 in delivery fee. With DoorDash, the app is right. The link is right down below. I know a lot of people are taking advantage of it. You should too. The subject to change and the terms apply. I think Alabama did look good this weekend, y'all. Um, I've learned with Alabama that you can't trust them during an entire season, that you can't trust them during a 7 game season. They've got LSU coming up. I think they will beat Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss is really an issue. So it's really going to be their clash at Death Valley with LSU. But when you look at Ohio State and Georgia, those two definitely, to me, have been the teams that have played the best this season. They have consistently defeated the team they're playing by 17 points or more, with the exception of, 1 game each. And they just have looked the best. I mean, I didn't think Ohio State looked unbelievable Saturday night or Saturday day, excuse me. But you don't always just blister people from the word go. That doesn't always happen. And Paul went on to say this. He said, same thing for Georgia, talking about the schedule at the back end, and that's Tennessee. He says, I give Ohio State a slight edge. The one thing I will say about Georgia is they have some players coming back. They will be better at the end when it really matters. We're going to see about that. We're going to see, just what happens if and when Georgia gets A.D. Mitchell healthy. What happens when they get Jalen Carter healthy? Those are things that, you know, those two guys will make a huge statement if you can get them. The trajectory of your team could change if both those guys come on down. But we don't know. I mean, look, I've not shown this image in a while, but when you think about what AD Mitchell brings, let me tell you about this particular play here. I don't think that's against Kool-Aid McKendry, but it's against a young defensive back from Alabama, Kyrie Jackson. Red RT, excuse me, Train RT, Red Tank Double Go, national championship game. Georgia wins it. Well, they don't win it on this play exclusively. They win it with Keeley. They win it with all of them, okay? But AD knew on that play. I talked with him this summer, and you could have gotten that in our preview magazine, our season yearbook, if you acted. But AD knew that they were um, in man coverage. He knew that Stetson would get him the ball, and Georgia had to get a win there. They had to win on that series. And had they not, things would have been really troublesome for the Dogs. They would have been down late in the national championship game. Instead, they went flying down the field with these two. I'm not quite getting it right. But that was a really important moment. And this is what AD told me. He said, I knew I was 1-on-1. I knew that pre-snap. I was hoping Stetson would come to me. He said, laughing, I was hoping. Well, he did. And that's what you've been missing lately. So, as good as Georgia's been, when you talk offensively, and they've been very good, okay? When you look at Georgia last year in the national championship game, these guys have not been playing for them lately. Uh, It goes without saying. A.D. Mitchell, George Pickens, Jermaine Burton. Those three guys played in the national championship game. I'm pretty certain they all had catches, although I could be wrong. I know George and A.D. did. They're not playing for Georgia right now. So there's a little bit different, moment right now for Georgia trying to get right. If you return AD back, some things change a little bit. You can pick up DAWGSTRUCTION. The link is down below. If you order it today and email me your shirt size, I will send you a free t-shirt too. So take advantage of that while that offer lasts. It's not going to last forever. I can tell you that right now. But I think Paul is right, generally speaking, here. And what I mean by that is, um, you know, this Georgia team and this Ohio State team are blistering people. When you look at total offense, Tennessee is the number one team in the country. And then you've got Georgia at number two, Texas Christian at number four or three, and then Ohio State at number four. Guess who has number one? Who has the best of all the contenders in total defense? Ohio State at number two, Georgia at number four. It might not seem like it because people have been so caught up in, Georgia's bad play in one game against Missouri that they're forgetting how good they've been the whole season. It may not seem like it because Ohio State hasn't played anybody. This is what we say rather than, watching. We're 7 games into this now, watching Ohio State, knowing they're good. There's not a lot of moments or there's not a lot of sections of the thing where Ohio State is not a top 10 team. Rushing offense, they're 21st in the country. Like that's considering the service academies, that's really good. They're 15th in the country in passing offense. Their scoring defense is number 5 in the country, allowing 15 a game. The rank is exceptional. The value at 15, that is higher than Georgia for sure. That's about 5 points higher than Georgia. So I would give the nod to Georgia's defense, even though Ohio State has their total defense is better than Georgia's in terms of statistically speaking. Punting is not unbelievable for them. Some of the special team stuff is not unreal for Ohio State, but I'm not sure how much that matters. They're not overly penalized. There's a lot to admire about what Ohio State's got, and I think that Paul, I hope, is pretty much going on the eye test because you have to look at the results first. But these two teams have not played each other, okay? And I don't really know how we can have another discussion other than that. I mean, they've not played each other. It's we're at where we're at with it. We can't change that fact. But they both have huge tests. TCU and Clemson do not because of the leagues they play in. I'm not hating. It's just what it is. But like you look at Ohio State with you know I mean, this is maybe a hot take. I'm not sure that I really participate in hot takes, but um, I think I think to me maybe Tennessee should be ranked number four. I think Michigan, um, on the whole, is probably a better overall team than Tennessee. Now, I don't, you know, I'm not going to die on a hill for that, but Tennessee's defense is really a problem. And they're going to have to outscore Georgia when they play them, because no matter what happens with Georgia, Florida, you know, Tennessee, Georgia is going to be the game that determines the winner of the SEC East. There's got to be all sorts of bizarre scenarios. Like, I think South Carolina can still win the East. I think Kentucky can still win the East. I know Kentucky can still win the East. But uh, it's probably going to come down to that game. And when you look at the top four teams this second, Tennessee has the one outlier, which is that their defense isn't just ranked like 60th, it's ranked 102nd. And if you watch them play, that's what gets the Vols in trouble. But I think, for me, I think Paul, I think the reasoning again is um, is not inappropriate. And again, I'll read the last part. He says, I give Ohio State a slight edge. The one thing I will say about Georgia is they have some players coming back. They will be better at the end when it really matters. We'll see.